Save the thing. Have you ever noticed that if you say all 15 decades of the rosary, you have to say the joyful mystery? So, like, even when you're in a bad mood, you still aren't actually in a bad mood because you're like, oh, I get to say the joyful mysteries. Um, why are we talking about the joyful mysteries? We're supposed to be doing a show. That's right. Tonight we have two hosts. We're going to try something a little bit different for no reason at all. Yes, because we want to make life more impossible. Tonight we have our unusual host, Master Bowser, and Dancer Darcy. And Cat Cans is here, and Stephen Cox is here. And tonight we're actually doing the Stephen Cox episode that he requested because we just do things that people tell us to do. And we don't know why. We're a very strange person. Over here, we usually say, if you tell me to do something, I ain't gonna do it. And then we say, wait, no, I can't get into that voice. Nice, dare say, sir, this type of show's going to be terrible. I can't do this. There's too many voices. Anyway. Okay, so the first clip today is from David L. Gray talking to John Salza, or Sousa.
And John Sousa.
John Sousa. Let me make sure that went through properly. I don't think it did. I think it did. What the heck? Everyone's here. Now, John Sousa says something so dumb, we are revoking his black card. He says if Michael Jordan played with LeBron James, it would be like anti-Mason Sousa and anti-Mason Gray. David L. Gray is hereby no longer black.
Or if Michael Jordan and LeBron James played like a whole season.
I dare say, if they played a whole season, LeBron James would be crying. He would be like, no, MJ, can you please pass me the ball? And I would like to score 30 points a game. And MJ wouldn't, because MJ's not a baby. Yes, the two greatest ex-Masons are like the greatest basketballer and the 11th ranked basketball player ever. I told you he's not black. I dare say, Master Bowser, you are 100% correct. This man's not black at all.
Together. I mean, that's the comp.
No. Where's talking? This guy is not the... Where's the epic pen? Summon the epic pen. This man...
David L. Grant Johnson.
Wrong button. This man is not black, for he has defiled the name of LeBron James by associating... No, he's defiled the name of Michael Jordan by associating it with LeBron James. Sorry, we are very big-time Kobe Bryant fans here, and anyone who does not bow to Kobe Bryant is not a friend of the show. And these voices are terrible. Oh, no. It's say with an E at the end of it. Get it right.
Sauls are here comparing notes about their experience of Freemasonry as now Catholics.
Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can save Earth.
We would like to apologize for the editor. He just likes to put in random things from Angry Coach like twice an episode. But we're going to save the Earth. The whole Earth is going to be saved if you subscribe. Whoa. Well, let's get back to the show. Did you know John Salza has been lying to people for over 20 years? This interview is, by the way, 2 years old. It is from May 17th, 2023. Again, thanks to Stephen Cox for pointing out this show to us. We did it because he told us to. We have no will of our own. Yes.
over 25 years and a widely acclaimed Catholic author, speaker, and lecturer for more than 2 decades.
Yes, and did you know John Salza has amassed 800 quotes from the Church Fathers? And this John Salza manages to be Novus Ordo. Amazing! It must have been like copy and pasting the same quote over and over again. Probably. Wait, you can't sue for libel. You're the whole reason we're doing this show. If anything, we should sue you for wasting our time. Are we Jewish? Well, yes, Sede Picante is like 0.01% Jewish, or I guess Seraphic or something, from southern Spain. If you go back about 600 years. Yay, all the mutual. Anyway, let's get back to the show.
It absolutely was apologetics. I launched my famous website, which I still have all the files and will be relaunching at some point, called scripturecatholic.com. That was around 1999. And this was a process whereby for a number of years, I had compiled 800 quotes from the early church fathers.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Chris Jackson is exactly right. It takes also 1,000 words to say what most people say in 5. We will go into that a little later.
Scripture, tradition, and put everything together. I had a reversion of my faith. I'm a cradle Catholic.
No, Kohana, you were definitely talking about me. Sir dare say, I am the most froggy Jew you've ever seen. Wait, if I'm a frog, why aren't I French? Oh no. Our characters make no sense whatsoever.
Born and raised. But David, it was through the experience of Freemasonry that got me actually reconnected with my faith. Because when you go through those rituals, I had a lot of spiritual misgivings as I was going through these rituals.
Wait a second. This guy became a Catholic because he was a Mason. That's right, Master Bowser, don't you know? Most people who become Catholics nowadays are usually Masons or Protestants. They become evil people, and then they become a Catholic, and they're like, whoa, I was right the whole time. Let me make content online. But he became a Catholic from being a Mason. Doesn't this appear to anyone that this would be like, sus? Like we would be like, oh, look at I became a Catholic because I ran someone over with a bus. And then you guys would be like, oh, look at that. What a good story. That is a good story. Because if you could drive a bus, Master Bowser, that would be a miracle. Doing research into the Masons, he started reading the Protestants. And then he was like, I've got to do anti-Protestant content. Yes, apologetics. 100%, Mr. Cox. Master Bowser is a Mason. That's why his name starts with Master. It stands for Mason. Ha!
But what struck me is as I was reading the Protestant material, I also was confronting all these anti-Catholic arguments from the Protestants. That's what triggered my apologetics. I'm like, wait a minute.
You should have seen this one before because it's actually a very old video.
It's kind of the lawyer in me. I'm like, wait a minute. I want to not only discover, the arguments against Freemasonry, but I want to discover the arguments, against Protestantism. That's where my apologetics actually started. And so, I came to a point where God told me, John, you've accumulated so much information and some knowledge. Start sharing it.
Wait, what was that? I get told stuff all the time. I get told, do an episode with John Salza and David L. Gray, and I don't say, well, God told me to do it. I say, Stephen Cox told me to do it, that blackguard. But John Salza, he does a little research, and all of a sudden, wee, God, is that you? Are you that spaceship flying up there? Amazing! What can I do for you? And then God is like, oh, Mr. John Salza, you know what I want. I want you to go and be an apologist. Play the clip.
I came to a point where God told me, John, you've accumulated so much information and some knowledge. Start sharing it.
I come to a point that people are like, I have so much knowledge that people should just give me money. That's what the point that I'm coming to. That's fantastic, Master Bowser. Salsa here tells a story how his publisher wanted a book on masonry rather than apologetics because nobody until 20 years ago was ever wondering about this topic that has always been a hot topic ever since Sede Picante can remember.
And that forced me kind of to put myself on the map to speak about this topic. I, like you, David, wanted this behind me. But the reality is it is so important.
Someone get off Stephen Cox's account immediately. But the reality is so important that I have to be the main face in the Catholic Church to write books on it. Yes, that's the way the Catholic Church watches. I am St. Paul because I did a little bit of research, yes. Imagine that. Maybe it was just good content and everyone always wants good content. Like, oh, no. In the 50s when they're saying, there's Masonic infiltration of the Catholic Church. Did you know there's a plot against the church? And they're like, what? Really? What? Yes. And this plot has been going on since the time of Mozart. Yeah, that's right. Mozart started automations. I saw it in a movie once. Let's get to the next clip. Replace Masons with Novus Ordo, and this clip sounds exactly the same. What? No, he doesn't. Sede Picante is like Opus Dei. Sede Picante is definitely not like Opus Dei because that's too Spanish. I don't have a good joke, so never mind. Let's just continue on.
It's about knowledge, David. My thought process was because the church.
Oh, what's this? Is this a comment from the immortal Phil Gonzalez? Do we have the song for him? No, we won't play the song this time. We have too much set up as is. God told me to eat the Big Mac meal even though I was only at McDonald's for the Chicken McNuggets. Amazing! Brilliant, really.
Church was so adamant about this through many different condemnations. I think in my book I've got I've got 24 condemnations from 12 different popes. There has to be something to this, and what that something is you have to understand Masonic ritual.
So Mr. Salza says, I've got 12 comments from 20 different popes. Therefore, I think we should look into this. But how many popes condemned the heirs of the French Revolution, which led to modernism? Like literally everyone for 200 years? But I can't see the modernism. Where is it in the church? Perhaps John Salza is blind. I just thought this was interesting. If you're going to say, I've done the research, then I've seen the condemnations, but then you can't find the condemnations of modernism? What are you doing? God said, and I think rightly, that this is exactly the type of money I should be making. No! Yeah, but we need to win the lotto first, Kohana. I've been trying to win the lotto, but God just doesn't seem fit to find a lotto big enough for me to win. He wants me to win a bigger one. Where's Phil? No one knows where Phil is. He's in Canada. Here's an interesting point.
So I began really researching the rituals, studying the rituals, and as you know, at least in my jurisdiction of Wisconsin, I've got the books here. Almost all of the ritual is in a secret ciphered format.
Yeah.
So you have to go to the elder brothers of the lodge, and they give you what these things mean through oral tradition.
Yes, now since Salsa is an expert on liturgies, let's see what he said about the abrogation of the TLM. The old Mass was never juridically abrogated, just as the new Mass was never juridically promulgated as a universally binding law. Well, bollocks, because it can't be binding as a universal binding law, because it's only for the Latin Rite. Mr. John Salzer likes to play fast and loose in his book True or False Pope, which we have been reading for no reason at all. But he wants to say, I'm an expert now when it comes to Masons, but when it comes to the Novus Ordo, he's a royal screw-up. No wonder people still think of him as a Mason. Pause and reconsider before you step inside a Selah chapel. Selah means to pause and reconsider before you step inside a Selah. Pause and reconsider before you step... Wait a second. The TLM was also never offered on Mars. That's a true statement, therefore it's not binding and universal. I would just like to point out, such a low-effort argument means we should probably not trust Salzer on anything, because he's a Mason. Bollocks! What does bollocks mean anyway? I don't know. I keep forgetting to look this up. Oh. Salzer writes in Apologetics in Masonic Cipher, which is why all of his books are 1,000 pounds. Yes, weightlifters go and put John Salzer's books on either end of the barbell and don't even count the weight, because no man has ever lifted it. In this clip, John Salzer talks about his mind, and he's really smart and he's really cool. There's nothing like an apologist who is a brilliant man.
You know, the way my mind works is I truly have to completely comprehend something before I make a decision. And once I ingested all of this information and I knew the rituals and now I knew what the church taught.
He ingested all the information and he knows everything. This is fantastic. Is that why all of his books suck? No wonder we all think he's still a Mason. Now David Elgray wants to say that the Catholics let the Masons off the hook.
And I always hear, and I oftentimes hear Catholics make this argument that I think they let Masons, third-degree Masons, off the hook in a sense. They think they're these innocent doves who are kind of stupid, who don't know what's going on, but at least in the jurisdictions that I have experience with, in the first and at least the first, second degree, oftentimes the third, you have to come back to the lodge to make proficiency that you have been educated in 3 degrees. You have to memorize some stuff and you have to make proficiency.
Even a basic catechesis in Christianity would alert you in the first 3 degrees that there's something wrong here.
So, John Salzer says even a basic Christianity, and he was raised Christian, would have alerted you that you were wrong to be a Mason. So why did he go through being a Mason if it was the most obvious thing in the world? And then he had to go to look through Protestant and Catholic sources against the Masons to know the Masons were wrong. What does all this mean? Was John Salzer the most retarded person ever? I think so. John Salzer is so dumb that he doesn't even know his name has a Z in it. That was a stupid comment. Let's go to part 2. In this clip, Gray is still called a Mason by the Twitter people. I wonder why.
Well, here's what the church teaches why we can't be Freemasons. And somebody said, I heard a couple of people say, "Oh, David, you're still a Freemason. You sound like you're defending Freemasonry."
I hate that. I get that too.
Yes, you get it because you make stupid arguments and write stupid books, and you win stupid prizes. Yes, you're a Mason. Deal with it. In this clip, Gray asks if Salzer's credibility is attacked specifically because of a Masonic background. No, it's because he writes stupid books that talk around the issue literally. Sede Vacante was reading True and False Pope, and he said, "Oh, let's read that chapter on whether the Novus Ordo Church is a real liturgy." And then we read 12 pages of him quoting people and making no sense, and then we were just like, yeah, we're done. We're done. That's it. Yeah, I also read that chapter, and since it wasn't a yes or no question, I just stopped reading. And then I said, I'm really smart because I've read this chapter. Wow.
But do you
read books? We are not truly a Christian channel. We are a review channel. We review things. If you like insanity, you're welcome to stay. If you want sanity, please go find someone like, Chris Jackson. He writes the most sane stuff about how cardinals have these blue books. Oh, no.
Do people like question you, John, because do they like, even though you got sort of duped into this in a sense as a young man,
Right.
do they want to like also challenge you because you also spend some time in the SSPX, yet now there's some aspects that you talk about it now, and do they want to like impute your credibility?
Chris Jackson says Gray's only a third-degree Mason, required to wear denim, and is still in the hazing period. Wait, who's crashing out? No, you've not witnessed a Sede Picante crash out. Sede Picante crash outs always involve saying bad things about Kevin Davis. That is how you know it's an actual crash out. He has a bad habit about this. Anyway, you can read Salsa straight and easily and find loads of errors and poorly thought out arguments. That's why we think he's a Mason. Yes, we've now said that 4 times on this stream. We actually don't like Salsa because he's an idiot. Can we get some Salsa victimhood? I love it when the content creators we discuss have victimhood. It's usually what I look for.
Think about it. If that were legitimate, they could have discredited St. Paul, right? It's so, you talk about ad hominem. Anytime they take a position that's maybe contrary to someone else's position, it's ad hominem, looking back at your background. Well, you were a Freemason, so you have no credibility.
Yes, that's right. I'm like St. Paul because someone doesn't like me. Did you know St. Paul proved himself right and publicly debated everyone? And he went through whole years where he was silent and learning the faith, and he showed himself to the elders. But oh no, if I'm John Salsa and someone looks at my venomous past and says, "You might be a Mason," all of a sudden I'm a victim. Help me. You'll probably hate St. Paul. What a good argument. I need to use this one. More Salsa victimhood.
But I unfortunately still find people, especially the more conspiracy-oriented people, saying, "Oh, they must still be Freemasons, and therefore, because John is opposing, traditionalist groups, he's still secretly a Freemason." It's just completely nonsensical.
That's funny. I was wondering if you heard that. I was wondering if you ever heard that objection. That's interesting that you have.
Yeah.
No, Salsa, you just are really, really stupid. By the way, if Anthony Abate makes the roads with bricks, then he's definitely a Mason. Hit the donate button. Yes, I need to buy more clothes off of your hard work. I'm going to upload this to my own YouTube channel, The Pious Frog Plus, and then I'm going to say, "Oh, you should subscribe to me because I take other people's free content on the internet, just like the Pious Pelican Plus, and want you to pay my bills." No, yes, Salsa says the priests are not sent. We are going to get to them. Yes, I know. I love this whole like, orthodoxy doesn't matter. What matters is that you got a sent. I don't get sent. That whole canonical sentness is awful.
So they err when they say that one must.
So this is an example of just how bad John Salsa's arguments actually are. He's going to say they err when one is a Catholic because they profess the true faith, which directly contradicts Pope Pius XII.
Profess the true faith in order to be a member of the church.
Yes, one must profess the wrong faith in order to be a member of the church, because one just has to have a little piece of paper that says you're in the church. That means every single person who had died by, what's that called? Invincible ignorance went to hell. Thank you, John Salsa. Actually, only those are to be included as members of the church who have been baptized and profess the true faith. What? It's almost like John Salza never read Pope Pius XII. That's Mysticis Corpus Christi 22, the most overused quoted source of Pius XII. And you're probably a free man, a Mason man, but free. This is a pun on Freemason. We don't know why Sede Picante included it, because this is terrible.
Oftentimes it's a sede vacantis, when I'm,
Oh,
they want,
yeah.
because I'm saying something that they say is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was saying, one of those sedes was saying, oh, you're not going to mass if you don't go to this type of mass, something like that. And so I say something about that. They say, oh, he's just, you're saying you're probably still a Freemason. And
yeah, but you might be a Freemason because you say weird stuff. I forgot what the point of that clip was. Anyway, let's continue on. Eventually, they get to the Knights of Columbus.
First of all, there's no excuse for this. There's so much ignorance, and there shouldn't be, because, as you know, John Paul II, declared, he was the last pope to speak on it. There was a dozen others, that any Catholic who enrolls in a Masonic association is in a state of mortal sin and can't receive Holy Communion.
Do you remember when Salza said the Pope can't be excommunicated by divine law? He says this. He does? That sounds like the dumbest thing you could say. Oh, why is that, Master Bowser? Oh, because in the very next clip, he's gonna say that the people who becomes the people in the lodge, yes, that they get excommunicated by divine law. So you're telling me that Salza thinks divine law works if you're a Mason and you're a normal person, but it doesn't work if you're the Pope? Yes. Oh, that's fantastic.
You're actually committing acts of heresy and apostasy, in which case, if that were true, you'd be automatically excommunicated by operation of the church's law. So I think, objectively speaking, these people are no longer Catholic. They're excommunicated.
Oh, so all the Masons are automatically out because they're committing acts of apostasy and heresy, just like Assisi 1986. Exactly. No. So, but when it's for the Knights of Columbus, you're automatically out. But if you're the Pope, now we have to have a council, and we have to see you're pertinacious, and then someone has to accuse you, and then all sorts of other stuff, just so that John Salza can get away with not being a sede vacantist. It sounds like whenever John Salza has something he wants, then he accepts the Catholic faith. And whenever it's something he doesn't want, he makes up a new religion. No wonder people still think he's a Mason. Oh, that's right, Master Bowser. I'm trying to work both characters in, if you please. Now, if we remember, Louis Verrecchio said the Knights of Columbus were sold out. Salza is about to go on EWTN one day, and this happens.
And as I got on set, she was told by EWTN that the Knights of Columbus ordered EWTN to not mention the book and actually to destroy the book. To destroy what I had just written about Freemasonry that I flew across the country to go to EWTN to speak about. Now, being the smart lawyer that I was, when I entered into agreement to write this, I retained all rights to that material, and hence I said, okay, if you don't want to publish it through Veritas, I'm going to publish it myself. That book became Why Catholics Cannot Be Masons.
Wow. So that booklet became the basis for this.
Yes, and Gray's comment summarizes the point.
This is just so disappointing to hear that both the Knights of Columbus and the Knights of Peter Claver, two of the male fraternities for Catholics that we have in the church, at least two of them, have been completely infested by Freemasons. And in this case of the Knights of Columbus is even obviously scarier. They have a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of members.
That's right. So you're telling me the church, which is completely filled up with Masons, is still the Catholic Church? Thanks, John Salza. That's how the religion works. One of the biggest organizations, I have no idea if it is, but let's just say it is for the sake of argument, biggest lay organizations in America, the Knights of Columbus, I have siblings in it. They're all Masons and not Catholics. Tell me when you play this. What? Oh, getting DMs. Anyway, part 3, fake trads and the SXPX.
Sure. I mean, I've been, in the traditional movement, as it's called, for, like I said, 20, 25 years. I attend the traditional mass. And I mean, what is a traditional Catholic, right?
Look, Rare Books, you've got to understand. There's sometimes people will tell lies all the time, but then they tell the truth when they want to make money. E. Michael Jones is one of these people. He will tell you, oh no, the revolution, this, and that. And then all of a sudden he says to Bishop Williamson, why don't you just sign the document and get in union with whichever Pope was in during that time? And you're like, wait, I thought the whole reason we were against this was the revolution. And then you're like, wait, E. Michael Jones was telling the truth the whole time. But when it comes to the biggest question, is the Vatican II religion actually the Catholic religion? He flops. What? That's right. Evil people will tell the truth quite a lot to earn your trust and your money.
Catholic is a Catholic who believes in all that the church teaches. I mean,
oh, no, Bugnini wasn't a Mason, and John the 23rd didn't receive his cardinal hat from a Mason. No, this is all made up, yes. So, I'm confused. The Salza is playing a sleight of hand here with the term traditionalist, which is specifically an anti-modernist concept. And what he's going to say is if it's not. To say a Catholic and tradition are separated is to make a logical fallacy. But, it's kind of a smart thing he does here. Good night, Kohana. Thank you for joining the stream.
In a way, now St. Pius X used the term. He says all Catholics should be traditional Catholics. But I think, unfortunately, that terminology now is used today to describe those Catholics who attend the traditional mass, that is the 1962 Missal, exclusively.
Yes, that's exactly it. Traditionalists are opposed to liberals. There's a huge divide, and you can't use their phrases as if they don't exist. It is actually a matter of faith at some point. It's a matter of doctrine. Even the Catholic Esquire says it is a matter of doctrine. We don't believe in the same religion, so you can't be like, I think the Catholics should drop the term traditional. It's like saying, I think the Lutherans should just say they're atheists. What? How would that make sense? Anyway, the more cities don't exist type of thinking, very one-dimensional, because Salza says it's the people who believe in the 62 versus the 69 missiles. But that's not true at all, because there's a lot of missiles in use today, with even the old Romans using the 39, along with the RCI, the CMRI using the 55, and the SSPX using the 62, and the weirdos using the 69. It's a kind of chaotic mess. Gambit. Now Salza will essentially describe Michael Matt as his description of a trad, which is quite wonderful.
By liberal errors on the right, the extreme errors of the right, which hold that so long as you're attending the traditional Latin Mass, and by the way, these are the people who look down upon those who would attend the Novus Ordo. As long as you're attending the traditional Latin Mass, it doesn't matter who the priest is, whether the priest, has a bishop, with jurisdiction, has the faculty to say Mass as part of the Roman Catholic Church. We want the Mass at all costs.
Now there's a huge problem with this bollocks. Oops, no, I didn't say it. Christine said it. And that is, all of a sudden, now we have to ask, does he have mission? Does he have sacraments? And meanwhile, in True or False Popes also never said Paul VI ever suppressed the Latin Mass, which is patently false. Just ask anyone who lived in the 70s, and you could not get a Latin Mass to save your life. And jurisdiction, yes. Shouldn't fake priests have jurisdiction because of a fake pope? We don't know, because we can't ask that question. Besides the fact that the Vatican II religion says as long as you have a bishop, you have jurisdiction. It's in Lumen Gentium 21. I think that's coming up next. It doesn't matter. It just, whenever it's a traditional, all of a sudden we bring out the Council of Trent that no Novus Ordo believes in. Oh, are you a traditionalist? Well, I'm going to bring up the Council of Florence. It says you've got to have a pope. And now, oh, you're a traditionalist? I'm going to bring up, other things that whenever I'm a Novus Ordo, I don't even accept them. The double standard is always here. This is the editorial note. I thought salsa was always about the SSPX, said a rabbit. At this point, he's talking more about Masonry and the SSPX. But yeah, he this part of the interview, he is actually talking about the SSPX, which is why we're talking about jurisdiction. And now back to the show. Thank you, editor, air conditioner.
What's made it difficult is because we're now at a time where the Holy Father is seeking to suppress the traditional Latin Mass. So people like me are pretty easy targets.
Yes, you're such an easy target. Maybe if you didn't change your positions and was a former Mason and you make money off of doing this, people would trust you. Did you know? People don't trust people who change their positions all the time. And it's like, I'm not Master Bowser anymore. Then you'd be like, oh, who is he? And they're like, oh, I'm Master Bowser again. Oh, who is he? Wait, no, I'm Master Bowser. Said, oh, who is he? See how it works? That's like Don Salsa. As long as I keep changing my positions, I will keep making money. And I dare say that's a fantastic idea. Let's put up a Patreon link for ourselves as soon as the show is done. In this next clip, Timothy G. Special. All my enemies are stupid. This argument shows up in almost every single recognize and resist content creator. I would love to go into depth, but all my enemies are too stupid to understand, so I don't have to explain myself. The most easy excuse ever.
Especially people who are new to tradition, who don't really understand all the details, all the background on what this traditional movement is and how it has evolved. But my point, David, on the Society of St. Pius X is they're really a false solution to a real problem.
Yes, they're a false solution to a real problem because they don't know the history of tradition. Yes, the Pius X's, who started in 1971, don't know the problem to the tradition. Or, with the history of the tradition. But Novus Ordos do. Explain this to me in words that don't make sense, because that's retarded. Anyway, it is true that there are many traditionalists who do not know the tradition, including Sede Bacante, which is why he had to delete content once a long time ago. But now, wait, now there's a problem. There's a problem in the church? I thought the church was the Immaculate Bride of Christ, and that with the Pope at the realm, there could not be doctrinal errors. Oh, by the way, he does say the Orthodox have valid jurisdiction in this episode. We'll get to it in a little bit. In this clip, divine law when it suits me, no divine law when it doesn't suit me. No, yes, the divine law excludes heretics from the papacy. Just reminding you.
It's a matter of divine law, the law of Jesus Christ, that one must be sent by Christ and by Christ's appointed authorities to lawfully administer in the church.
You have to be sent by Christ in order to be a minister in the church. And now he says the society doesn't have the mission, even though Kennedy Hall says it does, even though Kennedy Hall is also in union with Rome while not being in union. Yeah, it's a mess.
The society doesn't yet have that mission. It actually has refused that mission because it believes that what it calls the conciliar church, the post-Vatican II church, has gone off the rails, has taught heresy, has...
No, yes, the SSPX sometimes tells the truth. Catholic Crusader Film says when I was in the CMRI in the 1980s, I did not use the term traditionalist. That is what the SSPX call themselves. Oh, that's an interesting comment from an old man. And canon law says you can go to an Orthodox Mass. If there's no Catholic Mass, was that Orthodox priest sent John Salza? Yes, he will say he will. He is. But there's your reminder that some sins, such as heresy, remove you from the church. No. Yes, he does. John Salza, like Michael Lofton, have a direct connection from the Holy One in Rome. I don't know. How am I supposed to know this? Traditional movement is overreaching.
Created this evil rite of Mass and is really a church that has defected, and that the true church exists only in those who really attend the traditional Mass and reject Vatican II and the new Mass.
No. The answer is no. I'm saying things because it's funny. I mean, but Michael Lofton did get mission to go to the Rome and be like, hey guys, I'm in Rome. That makes me better than everyone. And then Michael Matt went to Rome and Michael Matt was like, hey guys, I'm in Rome. I'm better than everyone. And then Diane Montagno went to Rome and she's like, hey guys, I'm in Rome. I'm better than everyone. And everybody else was like, oh, my suck.
Effectively at the heart of this traditionalist movement. It's an overreaction.
That's right. The traditional movement is an overreaction because everything is good. At the same time, everything is bad. At the same time, all the Freemasons have completely infiltrated the entire societies of St. Peter Claver and the Knights of Columbus. But everything is good. But then everything is... What is he even talking about? Tell you, when you clip people together and put their own sound bites next to each other, they're insane. This is the Trad Inc. Anti-SETI flagship, and it makes no sense. How is everything simultaneously good, but tradition is an overreach? It makes no sense at all.
But at the same time, we don't leave the bark of Peter and adhere to priests who haven't been sent by the church just because they wear cassocks and say a traditional Mass and have the smells and bells.
We don't leave the bark of Peter, so we don't leave the church, to go to priests who haven't been sent by the church, in other words, the bark of Peter, because of the smells and bells. So what you're saying is that all the SSPX are invalid priests. That's what you're actually saying.
There's been an overreaction.
Yes, an overreaction. Yes, that's right. Also says the SSPX didn't receive grace, even though they both said that God used the Masons to have them return to him. Yes. So do you remember earlier where John Salza says because he went to the Masons, God used the Masons to send him back because it awakened him. He had to study, and then he was told by God, oh, look at all this knowledge you have. Whoa. It's almost like rules for John Salza and none for you.
And this group of faithful can do so much good, but God's not going to give his graces, outside the church. They have to be in the church, and that's what our hope is for them.
Yes, they have to be in the church to get grace. No grace has ever been given outside the church, ever. This is also true, Father Chakotay. Father Chakotay being dead is the saddest thing in the world. This is an example of the utter stupidity in the Vatican II theology. Public heretics still have legitimate jurisdiction. I think this is the clip. This is the big clip, I think.
But how can something be in schism and Pope Francis says, explain that. So how can this community be in schism and the Pope Francis say, okay, you guys?
It's because the Pope is the supreme authority who can delegate faculties to any cleric as he sees fit. I mean, the prime example of this, David, would be the Orthodox sees that were legitimately founded by the apostles and the popes and so forth. They still have jurisdiction attached to their office. Now, the Pope could withdraw that jurisdiction.
Yes, that is the clip. The Orthodox sees that are outside the union of the church have jurisdiction to dispense grace and forgive sins and to confer holy orders. They have it by right of history. They have canonical mission because they were founded by someone a long time ago. That's how mission works. All of a sudden, we've gotten rid of the Council of Trent, and now we're back to Novus Ordo. This is literally Novus Ordo. This is literally Lumen Gentium. This is literally Benedict XVI. Then all that the SSPX needed was to say, oh, we were started in the 7th century, then the Pope can never take our jurisdiction away from us? Is that the argument? Let's listen to this part again.
The Orthodox sees that were legitimately founded by the apostles and the popes and so forth. They still have jurisdiction attached to their office. Now,
they still have jurisdiction attached to their office. Makes no sense. So if I'm in the office and I'm not even a Catholic, because I don't have to be a Catholic in the Novus Ordo, apparently, even though sometimes I do, it matters, it changes. All I have to do is be in the office and boom, I have jurisdiction, even though the whole point of the Trent document was to say it has to be exactly through the will of the Pope. That's the whole point. But now I just have it because someone a long time ago made me a C. Make it make sense. This man is an idiot. And he has no understanding of the way jurisdiction actually works. All of a sudden, he switched to Novus Ordo jurisdiction halfway through the interview, and because now that he's not talking about the Sedis, when we talk about the Orthodox, because of Unitatis Redintegratio 3, all of a sudden everyone has jurisdiction again. Whoa! This is incredible!
the Pope could withdraw that jurisdiction.
Yes, got Lumen Gentium 21, the episcopal consecration, together with the office of sanctifying, also confers the office of teaching and of governing. Not the office comes from his participation in the power and the will of the Pope. It becomes by the episcopal consecration itself. Vatican II and the subsequent Vatican popes, and nearly every one of them, teach that the bishop's consecration is enough for jurisdiction and mission. Then why do they keep bringing up the Council of Trent? Why are we looking up Happy Gilmore? Salsa. Yep. I already explained this. In this clip, Salsa is retarded. Unbelievable! The buildings themselves must be dispensing the jurisdiction.
Whereas the Society of St. Pius X never had legitimate sees or offices.
So they don't have the historical piece. Okay.
Correct. So
yeah, do you see, it's the history now. This is one of these things that Vatican II-ism is a really big problem. That is history. Historical, therefore they have jurisdiction because this building generates the energy to forgive sins.
in that sense, the society is almost more distant.
Envisioning a Sailor cast with Jackson and Bowser. Oh dear. Definitely not Sailor cast. It's where we use bad language like borax. Welcome to the Salsa makeup religion as he goes. No wonder everyone thinks he's a Mason. Oh, that's the end. And now we shall have, did Vatican II bury the... let me take care of this one. After 60 years, is it time to bury the Vatican? Yes. Okay, we're done with the show. It's time to bury the Vatican. Get rid of it. I know this is a problem. Chris Jackson's playing it. So if the See of Constantinople turns Satanist, they retain jurisdiction. It's like you can't lose it because they suddenly have this historical thing now. And you're like, what? What? Please, it's horrible. We'll pass the hat around at the at the third intermission. We will pass the hat around. We have done the same exact content for 60 years in a row. I think so.
This week marks the 60th anniversary of the closing of Vatican II. And the usual suspects are trying to tell us that it still has wonderful fruits, that we should still try to keep it alive.
Yeah, we've been doing the same show for 60 years, and it's still alive. By the way, the fish is that person who's been doing the same content for 60 years. Like, why is he all of a sudden changing it? He's like, hey guys, I'm only talking about other people, not me. What?
But really, is that what we need to do? Or do we need to just simply recognize reality, hold a funeral for Vatican II?
Oh, we can recognize reality. Well, I dare say, I like to recognize reality. His setup is better than Pious Pelican Plus, we're not getting to today. We might do it next week, but the real springtime is here. That's right.
And move on.
What would all the metal content creators do without Vatican II? Get a real job? Impossible.
My little button there. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel.
Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to help all of us. All of us get over this terrorism.
I'm sorry. Sandy Picante's been watching Awful Coach, which is just this guy who screams at the internet for everything, and he loves it so much, so he puts it in his videos.
Channel.
Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to help all of us. All of us get over this terrorism.
Is Eric Simons gay? He blocks Sades on Twitter, but then he steals their talking points. It is the sign of an effeminate man.
Yesterday, December 8th, 2025, was the 60th anniversary of the closing of Vatican II, kind of the birth of the Vatican II Church, so to speak, the birth of the spirit of Vatican II, the birth of everything that followed, the post-conciliar period. And I'm here to tell you that after 60 long years and after many years in poor health, that era is over. And we just need to move on. And so we're going to have a funeral service here today for Vatican II.
So why can't we just all revoke whatever we don't like? Like, I think that the only reason Vatican II failed was because we didn't do the alphabet agenda soon enough. And the fervor of the new Pentecost died out because we didn't do the alphabet agenda. Like, why can't, if we can just revoke whatever we want to revoke, why do we have to revoke Vatican II and not like the Sixth Commandment? There's no logical to this. It's just like, I'm a trad, so I want to get rid of the thing I don't like that causes drama. Yeah, here's lame, but like, I need to have something to fill out the rest of the show, or else we'd be done at 50 minutes. Then you wouldn't get your Sadie Picante fix. I'm not sure what Eric's point here is, so I guess he thinks ecumenical councils are just whatever. We can just get rid of ecumenical councils whenever we want to. Oh, yes. Wait, they did get rid of the Sixth Commandment? Why am I still single then? Wait. This is horrible. They got rid of it and I'd never ever take advantage of this? Man.
There is a certain generation of Catholics, particularly the older generation, that clings to Vatican II as if it's some magic talisman.
Yeah, the boomers, let's make fun of the boomers. Yeah, whenever we trads want to fight someone, we always fight the boomers.
That we have to keep it alive or else everything will fall apart.
No, it's an ecumenical council, retard. Like, why are we keeping this alive? Oh, let's get rid of the U.S. dollar because it's benefiting people I don't like. Let's just get rid of it. Yeah, does tomorrow wake up and then just not have any more dollars, and then like everything's just going to be wonderful. Yeah, let's just do that. It's like, are you living in reality? Oh, that's a good point, Mr. Cox. Yeah, he would probably say the same about Vatican I. And then afterwards, the next council, the Council of Florence. Yeah.
Like there's this great fear. I mean, with the progressives, it's the fear that like we'll go backwards or something like that. But even with conservative Catholics who love Vatican II, or
But the point, Cat is we don't think it's a real council. So it's a non-binding council, just like the council of my dinner this evening, where we talked about, how good the beef stew was. The council of the beef stew. And then you're like, the council of the beef stew isn't binding. It's not a real council. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
and want it to be the defining feature of our modern church. There's this idea that if we don't keep Vatican II alive, I don't care if it's using mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, we got paddles or whatever it takes, we got to keep it alive, or else everything falls apart. If we don't Vatican II harder.
Yeah, we got a Vatican II harder. And that's him stealing that line from James Green, I think. Chris Jackson says, Skojic rejected Vatican I, now he's living in a van. Can we get how long before Michael Matt is living in a van? Oh, we can have our 3 divorces now. Oh, I like this. What does this mean? Candlesticks? What the? In this clip, religion is a popularity contest. I love popularity contests. Don't you dare say? I dare say I do love religious contests. I mean, popularity contests.
Now, the reality is, of course, everything already has fallen apart in the era of Vatican II. And so I really can't see how moving on and just kind of forgetting about Vatican II is going to make things worse. Hard to see how that could be possible.
Yeah, that's right. We should just get rid of whatever's a bad thing in my life. Like, my parents were bad to me. I don't see how getting rid of my parents who were bad to me is like going to hurt anything. It's only going to make things better. But like, I guess the Holy Ghost inspiring Vatican II is just like, yeah, it was, it just doesn't matter. We just don't count it. There is no Holy Ghost. Like, the Holy Ghost is only when good thing happens. In this clip, Eric is repurposing the data on young people to say Vatican II is dead. The young people are actually anti-religious. It's not anti-Vatican II. They're actually anti-religious. And Eric Sammons is retarded because he doesn't know how to read data. The young people are like 7 points less religious than the other young people. Wow. Just dishonest journalism.
Another thing to note is that for young people,
yeah, I got tired of doing the Sir Darcy voice because I keep forgetting what it is. So I'm just going to do the voice I've been doing since I was 11 years old. Hillary White rejects Vatican. Oh, yeah, Quaz completely rejected. Quaz is going to be living in a van. You heard it here first.
They don't really care. It's almost, in a sense, Vatican II is already dead in their minds as far as how they...
Yeah, but all religion is dead in Gen Z's mind. They're literally following a half Mexican who says the most liberal things ever, but has 1 or 2 really extreme takes as a religious cult leader. Gen Z is pretty cooked. To use a Gen Z-ism.
View the church and like the importance of Vatican II and things like that. They just don't think about that much. They don't care that much.
Yeah, they don't care. Not because of Vatican II. It's because they don't care about whatever came before them in general. That's how generations generally tend to work. In this clip, Salmon restates the thesis of the video. I wonder why I kept it in. We all know the thesis of the video. What's wrong?
I'm here to say that Vatican II clearly is...
No. I'm not. With Sadie Rabbit, we will not take this abuse from the comments.
And by this, I want to be clear what I mean by this. Doesn't mean the Vatican II was invalid. Doesn't mean there isn't some good things in Vatican II. It simply means in the sense that Vatican II's impact on the church and how it should be seen as a means in which we move forward. Nobody, for example, today says we need to go back and look at the documents of Lateran V and really make sure we live the church according to how Lateran V said.
Yeah, but Lateran V was there to issue like non-dogmatic statements. Like that's really retarded. Why don't we go find one of the lesser known councils that literally no one but me has ever read, and why don't we just get rid of that one? Maybe no one read it because it wasn't that important, and it was like more for that time. It's not like you don't want to go to Vatican or Lateran IV and talk about how the Jews aren't allowed to walk outside during the Triduum. What about that one? Anyway. Okay. Yeah, but most of the content creators are still Protestants. This is actually the issue. I know. And I love Salmons because he blocked me on Twitter, and he's only good on like politics, and then all he does is theology, and he's so bad. And this clip, Salmons is an idiot. What?
Nor do we need to, nor do people say, even like something like the Council of Florence, which reunited the churches briefly, the East and West briefly. Nobody says, okay, we have to go back to Florence and just do what Florence says.
Nobody says that we have to go back to Florence and do what Florence says. What do you think about that, Sir Darcy? Well, I dare say I go to the Council of Florence every single time I'm talking to an Eastern Orthodox. This man's an idiot. You have to go to every single council that talks about the exact problem the council is addressing. If I wanted to address Jews walking around the Triduum, I'd go to that council. I wouldn't go to Vatican II. It doesn't talk about it. It's like, no, Mr. Salmons, you stupid fish, you gotta get your story straight. The way Vatican II was implemented went far beyond the council itself actually said. This is debatable because the council said, hey, we need to rewrite all the sacraments. And then they were all like, well, who's going to do it? The dicasteries. And the dicasteries were put there by Benedict XV with authority from the ordinary jurisdiction of the Pope, which makes them infallible. But what about the entire post-conciliar structure that still operates on these interpretations? If it's open, the interpretation is open. And they were open. Now, Salmons doesn't realize the whole Pentecost of new evangelization is a synodal ecumenical religion. Yes, the new Pentecost is the ecumenical religion. We beard Maxon?
More importantly, a lot of hierarchs in the church, they don't apparently think that Vatican II is dead. They think...
Did dare say no, Michael? I don't know. What? Who's Michael?
It's still this living monument in the church. I mean, just at last month's USCCB meeting, the papal nuncio, Cardinal Pierre, he was talking about, his whole message to the bishops was, we have to Vatican II harder. The Vatican II is the means by which we move forward, and that's how we bring about whatever.
That's exactly it. No, it's not Gary Voris. The wrong Michael. Michael Davies. Every other person is named as Michael. Heck, Sadie Picante's name is Michael. Then there's Mike Parrott. There's that Mike. There's just too many Michaels. We need to get rid of all Michaels. Heck, my nephew's name is Michael. And the obvious result of the fish's position here is that we'd have to infiltrate the mystical body of God to turn it good. What he was saying is we have to convince all the bishops in the church to stop being in Vatican II and stop being a synodal and like pretend that like we convince them, and they're like, oh, I know, I'll turn to tradition. Like literally the only one who's done that is Strickland and sometimes Gerhard Müller. And but the damn are still synodalists. I know. Salmons is a gift you give at Christmas. Yes, exactly. Oh, Mike Pantile. We do not talk about that, man. Did you know Mike Pantile was making... Oh, we ended the clip already? We was making fun of pink-haired women like Rob's wife, but we won't play the clip because this isn't the Sailorcast. On the Sailorcast, we play the clip. Continuing on with USCCB story.
The influences of Vatican II can be seen every.
The Salmons became trading under Francis. Imagine selling out to defend Francis. Flanders thought it was so brave, he joined them. I know, right? It's like we're all together against Francis or Leo, and then they're like, Leo's dying. Oh, no, Francis. And then Francis is dying, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, man, I feel bad for him. I'm going to defend him. I'm going to stop having hate in my soul. I feel so much better. That's what Salmon said. I feel so much better after not having hate in my soul. It's like, I thought the truth set you free. Now the truth makes you angry? Why don't you have a laugh? Maybe you should get a job. Yes, maybe you should just get a job like digging ditches, digging up sewer pipes like Santa Picante. He was so mad about it still. The clips are played. Thank you. Emo Mike, yes. And back with the show about the
Every
USCCB.
aspect of the modern church. That's true. In our understanding of divine revelation, the universal call to holiness, the sacred liturgy, religious freedom, ecumenical dialogue, the participation of the laity in the life of the church, and so much more. Learn more about the council, and they give a link, and I'll go to that link in a minute and tell you what it says. So basically, though, the USCCB is saying back in 260, and look how much it's affecting the church, how much it's impacted and influenced the church, and obviously in this positive, great way.
Yes. Don't you think the church, which is the synodal church, would say being synodal is good because it's what we're doing? It's like, though, look at baseball has never been better. Why? It's not because the Dodgers won. It's because we're playing baseball. Yes, it's very normal. Yes, the current church is the Vatican II church. In the loose terms, this is why it cannot be remade and has to die. This is why Salmon's whole project in this video is stupid. But that's why we're reviewing it, because if it wasn't stupid, if it was brilliant, we wouldn't be reviewing it. Or pledging your allegiance to Leo when you made a book about the infiltration. Make it make sense. I know that episode by Stephen Cox kind of blew my brains. I thought I might have to make the episode. And then Stephen Cox did it better than anything we could ever do. I told my dad to watch the episode earlier today. This next point fishes the myths. It should be praised. How about, is it true? We don't do deal in truth anymore. We only deal in, like, how much money it makes. I know.
And what I want to do is I want to go through these. And I want to go through these and say, okay, is the impact of Vatican II such that it should be praised in these areas?
Should the Vatican II be praised where it did good? No. We would like to remind everyone, Social Security saved lives. Now, does it save less lives than if it was run morally? Exactly. The public school system does produce intelligent heroes. Does the public school usually produce intelligent heroes? No, it usually abuses children. That doesn't mean good things don't happen from bad systems. But the Catholic Church is a good system, so we cannot accept bad things from it. Sit still. There we go. This next part is called Wait for It.
Has it helped the church? Has it helped our mission to convert souls, to bring souls to Jesus Christ and to save them, bring them into heaven? Or hasn't it? Because if it hasn't, then it's time to declare Vatican II dead and just move on.
Wait, so if Vatican II as a product isn't Let's say it's a fat burning pill, and I try and it doesn't work for me, so I just move on to the next product. Is that really what we are doing here? The Vatican II hasn't helped the church, therefore, the Vatican II is out. By the way, if you actually know the song that was just played there, then you know what Phil's and Sede Picante's secret conversations are about. But this is an era of results-based thinking instead of truth. It's a very obvious error. Uh-oh. Room to make big mistakes. Oh, yes. What are we talking about here? Wide open spaces, huh? We do wide open spaces on Sailor Cast. What is wrong with you? Just play your own content on your own show. What's wrong with you? Why? Number one, Vatican II is a new version of what it means to be church.
Vatican II presented a renewed vision of what it means to be church. And so let's look at that for a second. Renewed vision. So the problem with this is true. I mean, most of these statements are true, but what did that really mean?
Most of these statements are true. We are a new church, and the fish says, "Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I didn't say you did. So, no, you didn't." Why didn't you put it on YouTube then, John? In this clip, we're still running around with Vatican II didn't change doctrines, though it redefined mission, council, membership in the body of Christ, salvation outside the Latin Church, the power of the papacy, human rights, and the value of non-Catholics in the Catholic religion. But it didn't change doctrines. No, it changed practically nothing. What?
Now, Vatican II didn't change doctrines, and doctrines weren't changed after Vatican II.
Nothing was changed, yes. We're still running with this. In this clip, Salmons accepts the revolution fundamentally changes the nature of the church by opening everything for questioning. But it didn't change anything. But it changed nothing, but it opens everything for questioning. Yes.
By opening up everything for questioning, for revision, for a renewed vision, what the Council of Fathers did was basically they left us in a situation in which there were no sure norms. And that really wrecked the church in a lot of ways, and it wrecked the Western world.
Yes, it wrecked the Western world, but nothing changed. What's the difference between the gates of hell prevailing and the ecumenical council destroying the entire world? It wrecked the world. I think the difference is like the gates of hell is when your credit card doesn't go through, and the entire world getting wrecked is when the stock market goes down 5%. I think that's a great answer. Stop! Christy, no. Bollocks! The source and the summit.
From the USCCB. The second one is Vatican II called the Eucharist the source and summit of the faith. Okay, I just have a question. Is Eucharistic devotion greater or lesser today than it was in the pre-conciliar church?
The reason why this is results-based thinking is because if we applied this, then we can just do what we want to do. Again, was the number of priests bigger before or after the Second Vatican Council? Or it was bigger before, therefore the Second Vatican Council is wrong. Oh, okay, that made sense. Was the number of Catholics in the world bigger or smaller before the Second Vatican Council? It was bigger. Well, therefore the Second Vatican Council is right. This results-based thinking is whatever you want it to be, and this is why it shows it's an example of bad thinking. In this clip, Simons doesn't seem to accept the source and the summit. And I love the slogan, the source and the summit. I love this slogan.
I mean, this one's kind of a clear cut. I don't even know why you bring this up, because it has a sentence in there that the Eucharist is the source of summit faith. People knew this beforehand. It wasn't like a new teaching. So they have this one sentence that we say all the time, but we don't actually have the reality on the ground that people treat it like the source and summit of the faith because of everything else that happened.
Yes, that's right. Everybody doesn't treat it like it's a source and the summit. Therefore, it isn't. And then it failed because other people treated it. But why are we trying to harness the wolf? It's not the Chad Rex episode. Besides, we only got 4 wolves, or 3. That's pretty weak. That's so weak. A cup of tea. And I dare not say it's a cup of tea to do this show. No. Number 3, the Vatican II Reformed Liturgy.
The next one is Vatican II reform the liturgy. Ah, yes, the reformation of the liturgy. I'm not going to go into super detail on this one because I've talked about ad nauseum. Everybody's talked about ad nauseum.
Thank you for not wasting our times. But if Simons is correct here and there is no reforming, then it's really just a revolution, and that's a Sede talking point.
But let me just give the overview here. It obviously wasn't a reformed liturgy. It was a revolution in liturgy.
Oh, so it was a revolution. But every kingdom divided against itself shall be made desolate, and every house or city divided against itself shall not stand. And the wide open spaces has just entered the chat for some reason. No, John, no. Okay, John, no. John, when we do my show, and we don't put freaking retard's wife on the show. Okay, we're not showing the Voting Babylon Rob's wife's face on this show. We did that on Sailorcast. We're not doing it on this show. Okay. So take that off. And I know you want to sabotage my show, but we're not sabotaging my show right now. Yeah, we're not doing the wife bit. The wife bit is for the other show. I hate you. What? Did you put it on my shorts? Oh, no. Take back the show. We are under attack. Our enemies are trying to destroy the show and trying to make the show Rob's wife that you can see on the Avoiding Babylon channel just I've trained and vacation into the studio. But we don't want to actually show it on our show because I'd like to keep my show a little cleaner than I do in my life. And let's get back to what is going on here. No. Let's get back to the show. Number 4, the universal call to holiness.
Okay. 4, Vatican II said every Catholic is called to holiness and to be a missionary. Okay, you hear this a lot too. The universal call to holiness. This is always connected to Vatican II.
Yeah, the universal call to holiness is always connected to Vatican II. Now Salmon steals the bit who said it. Now steals the who said it bit.
Christ has called the whole human race to the lofty heights of sanctity. There are some who say that sanctity is not everyone's vocation. On the contrary, it is everyone's vocation, and all are called to it. Jesus Christ has given himself as an example for all to imitate.
Yeah, but you see, there's going to be an issue with this who said it part, and that is, it's the most obvious answer in the world. The Dalai Lama.
So all are called, everybody's vocation is to sanctity, to holiness. Who said that? Was it Pope Francis? Pope Leo? Was it maybe John Paul II? It sounds pretty kind of more academic, so maybe it was Pope Benedict. No, this was said by Pope Pius XI.
Yeah, but why are we referring to pre-conciliar stuff? That's what the Sedes do. No, that's what the Sedes do. That's why I don't like to be one. I like to refer to the internet. Yes. Anyway, this is why it's a good idea when it's a good take when all the Orthodox popes and saints say the same exact thing and the other guys don't. Right? Simons, are you there? It's like, oh, look at everybody says you're supposed to be a saint and suffer. And then, like, oh, look at the universal call to holiness. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna kill you. In this clip, Salmons is Salmons.
Also, I wrote a book called Holiness for Everyone, The Practical Spirituality of who? St. Jose Maria Escriva, who worked mostly and came up with this, really promoted this before Vatican II.
Yes, when you call Escriva a saint, you are now accepting him as part of the tradition of the church. And JP2, who made him a saint, is a real pope, right? Didn't he? Was it Benedict XVI? I think it was JP2. Because he died in the 70s? Anyway, you can't say at the same time you reject the council and the popes who went over the council and you accept the saints over the council. Like, what are we picking and what are we choosing now? This is insane. It's a scandalous video. Yes, it is very scandalous. This is why we did not show it. Ain't Jose Maria Escriva. Also, Jose Maria Escriva abused a bunch of kids, so you know. And here we are at the final part of the show. Last 5 minutes. Family.
Number 5, Vatican II emphasized the importance of the family. Okay, that's good to know. But what's happened to the family?
What happened to the family? Well, I don't know what happened to the family. But how about Vatican II overturn the traditional beliefs of the primary reason of the married state?
Also,
Wait, is this true? Did Jose Maria Escriva say the wife must wear cat ears? That man's a saint!
I'll go back to the fact that the change in the air that Vatican II brought about in the church, the idea that we question everything, we change everything, all that stuff, is what led people to question the contraception ban.
Yes, but it makes sense to question the contraception ban when Gaudium et Spes 50 says marriage is to be sure not instituted solely for the procreation. This is clearly a change in doctrine, and Chris Jackson is 100% correct. Opus Dei figured out that you could get a bunch of people to spend all of their time working for the church in Spain, and they would leave their fortunes to the Opus Dei, and the Opus Dei was like, thanks for the money, idiot! Are we done with the joke yet, you know? Can put a different one on. Only in Dunsterville did Paul VI stand against the evils attacking marriage, yes.
And of course, Paul VI heroically did stand up against it. But inside the church, throughout the church, Paul VI did nothing, literally nothing, to stop a widespread acceptance of contraception.
Yes, he did literally nothing. Thank you. Number 6, ecumenism.
Okay, number 6, Vatican II reshaped the church's relationship with other Christians and other religions. Okay, this we're talking about, of course, ecumenism and interreligious dialogue.
In this clip, it sounds like Vatican II changed doctrine. Oh, I like this part. Which means it's a fake council per Vatican I. No, the numeraries turn over their salaries to Opus Dei while they are still alive. That's even better. Why even wait for them to die when you can get their money while they're alive? Hey, how do we get to be a part of Opus Dei? I mean, form our own Opus Dei. Yes, we have enough people in the chat to form our own Opus Dei. Everyone, just send me $5.99 a month. What happened to the family was they changed the purpose of marriage. That's what happened. And then they didn't stand up for against contraception in a manner that would have actually worked. And then he just said a bunch of correct things, like if you asked a priest in the 70s, can I use contraception? He would have just said, just do it and don't ask. So since Salmons wasn't wrong there, I just skipped over it. Yes, also what?
We no longer believe, we no longer practice like the outside the church there is no salvation. But ultimately, we no longer really believe as Catholics that outside the church there is no salvation. And we relegate the Catholic Church as just one among many. Instead of the unique instrument given to us by Christ for salvation, we look at it as just one denomination among many, one religion among many.
Wait, so if we look at the religion as if it's not the same religion, are we still in the same religion when we look at it as if it's not in the same religion? What? Look at someone just finished his... Wait, you can transition. Someone just finished his finals. What? But if rejecting that Christ alone is the way, the truth, and the life, and the church is the only vehicle by which you can be saved. Seriously, did Simons just say that all people who are in the Vatican II religion are going to hell? Of course he can't say that. That's too radical. In this clip, Simon admits that the Sadies are right the whole time, and that all the Vatican II popes are heretics and outside the church. But probably not in these words.
And this is
why would who? Because we're here to make fun of people. That's why. Like, come on! Like, no one in the right mind listens to this retard. That's why you have to do shows like this, so you know what he's talking about.
dominated the church. I would say ecumenism and interreligious dialogue has become almost the religion of so many.
So, ecumenism has become the religion. In other words, non-Catholicism is the religion of so many.
Catholic leaders. And, up to today. I mean, Francis was obviously kind of the high priest of that. But, you saw it with JP2, Benedict, you see it with Leo, you see it with tons and tons of bishops.
By the way, you see this person in chat? That's not me. I don't talk like this. I don't say I transitioned into sedevacantism. John, watch yourself. But don't worry. They magically didn't get out of Unitatis Redemptor Quattro Theory, Lumen Gentium 15. They made it up, yes. Vatican II is orthodox, and there's nothing in Vatican II that promotes ecumenism.
Even though Vatican II itself didn't have heretical beliefs in it, I don't believe.
Vatican II did not have heretical beliefs in it. It's just that everybody, as soon as Vatican II was done, just like imagined a new religion, all 1 billion of them at the same time, and they just don't know where it came from.
It clearly led people to heretical beliefs, like the idea that you can be saved outside the Catholic Church.
That is true. Francis is the most based pope of all Gen Z. Vatican II says that Protestant Eastern Orthodox people who goodwill in the mystery are in the mystical body of Christ or on the path of salvation. Yes. Eric Simons has never read Vatican II. Number 7, Vatican II made people friendly with each other or something.
Oh, yes. Vatican II promoted collaboration. And here it's talking about collaboration among bishops and working together, things like that. Really what it's talking about is it's trying to democratize the church. It's trying to make it so that the church is not a monarchy, not a hierarchy, but a democracy.
Yes. What's funny is this next clip, Simons calls it a heresy, and I wonder where they got the heresy from. Could it be Vatican II? And it's not as if democracy is intrinsically evil, right? But if you're in a monarchical church, and suddenly it's a democracy, maybe, just maybe, it's a different church.
And obviously that is heretical, the idea that the church is a democracy. And they won't say that straight up.
Yes, the show goes for an hour and a half, and we're about 3 minutes until we're done. Stephen Bollocks Cox. Why we're doing this whole show is because of you. You made us do the first part of this whole show. It was you who said, hey, why don't you go look at David L. Gray and John Saucer? And I had to watch David L. Gray and John Saucer for 1 hour and 40 minutes, Mr. Cox. This is unacceptable. In this clip, Simons and mad about something. I'm not sure what. I thought we all knew the Pope could just do things.
What happens is, we saw this under Francis. If the Pope wants to do something, he does it. He might then put it under synodality to make it sound like it's, collaboration. But we saw with the, Traditionis Custodes is a great example. He polled the bishops. He surveyed the bishops, and they were like, no, do not do this. And he was like, I'm going to do this and say it's because you guys all demanded it.
Yes. Francis was about 10,000 times smarter than the average YouTuber. And he said, oh, damn fighting words. Francis is 10,000 times smarter than the average YouTuber, and he puts out fake news to be like, I polled the bishops to see if they wanted to do Traditionis Custodes, and all the YouTubers were like, we didn't get polled to do this. Why are you doing this? And Francis, like, it was already done. What are you complaining about? And then they're like, no, take it back. You didn't. You lied to us. And Francis is like, no, I lied to you. You stupid or something. They're like, wait, the Pope can lie to me? No way. No, it's not up to me if John joins streams. John, stop typing in my name. We will delete. Wait, I can't delete my own comment. What? I can't delete my own comment? There I can. Delete comment. Delete comment. Oh my goodness. The audience is in full revolt now. Let's finish the show really fast.
Okay.
John.
Number 8, I think it is. Yeah. Oh, yes. Vatican II updated the church, which, of course, oh my gosh, that is such a generic term that really should never be said by a Catholic.
Except they did update the church, and they were trying to since the French Revolution. It's almost like updating the church is heretical. In this clip, Simons is going to say that bishops can sound like heretics. Like, how many times does he have to be like, everything in this whole world is wrong before he gets out of it? The Novus Order makes you a glutton for punishment. At some point, Simons is going to come back with a leather mask on.
I mean, to what end do we update the church? Had the church fallen astray? Are we Mormons who think that like the church fell away, had a great apostasy, and we now need?
I know, right? But too bad Crisis is probably bigger than the Pious Pelican Plus. Therefore, he's not in. Escrases l'infame. Okay.
You bring it back. What? If you listen to some of the Cardinal Cupich today, that's exactly what he sounds like. He sounds like a Mormon.
Yes, Cardinal Cupich sounds exactly like a Mormon. Huh. I wonder what we're supposed to do about all of this. Despite rejecting sedevacantism, the thesis changes are not from a legitimate pope. Simon sounds like a Sede, except he can't manage to be a Sede, so instead he just says, everybody in the church is a heretic, and everything everybody does is heretical, but they're not out of the church yet. Yes. Brilliant.
Like for 1,000 years. Oh, no. Having a church like mass basically led us to all these problems, but now we've brought it all back. I mean, it's such an ahistorical, anti-traditional view of the church to say that we updated the church.
So, yes, after saying number 9, Vatican II is also returned to its roots, which is antiquarianism.
Okay, number 9 is, but Vatican II also returned the church to its roots. You know, it updated church, but also returned it to its roots. What they're talking about here is the movement, the new theology movement in the 20th century to go back to the fathers, go back to the sources, the ressourcement, this idea of returning to the sources.
Really? It's going back to the sources like Scott Hahn, Steve Wright, the golden age of the 1990s? Oh, we went back to the fathers and we discovered like that the fathers were Catholic. Then we're like, oh, I was confused. And now like the history of the church ends at the 6th century instead of the 13th century and starts at Vatican II. Wow. Yes, Vatican II is the main culprit. Go back to the fathers. Don't actually read all the theologians that you're supposed to read, just the fathers. Yes, you did miss a double entendre that I'm not going to say. Wait, Salmons also calls this movement heretical too. Wait, how much heresy is there in Vatican II according to the defenders of the Church of Vatican II? This is silly.
But at the same time, it is a joke, a lot of it, the new theology, the ressourcement, and it's a false antiquarianism. What it does is it picks and chooses certain things from the ancient times and brings them to today, and then it kind of ignores other ones.
Oh, and finally, the last number. The reason why the antiquarianism is interesting is because when you actually realize a lot of these people converted because of antiquarianism, that they had this false, let's go back to the early church, which is what the Protestants had wanted to do before anyway. Then everyone just continued being a Protestant just in the Novus Ordo religion. And like they're victims of the antiquarianism, but we don't talk about that as actual Catholics because we actually believe in the fathers, and they just pretend to. Especially Taylor Marshall, because anytime you can bring him up and say something bad about him is a good time. The last 40 seconds.
The last thing was just simply kind of funny. Then Father Joseph Ratzinger, Pope Benedict XVI, played a significant behind the scenes role. And that was just, they said that because this was written originally in, I guess it was 2015. And I don't know why they, whatever on that one.
Whatever on that one. Yeah. The final comments by Sam is, let's guess them. Oh, Vatican II is out of date and we should get rid of it. Yeah, let's just get rid of ecumenical councils as we please. Oh, I dare say. I think we should get rid of this show if we're going to get rid of something. This show is not inspired by the Holy Ghost and has far too few memes.
The church leaders love to talk about the impact of Vatican II, and they make it sound all flowery. But when you look at the actual details of what happened, it just simply it doesn't pass muster.
Yes, it doesn't pass muster. Therefore, we will use the results justify the means logic. Or the results are it's a bad council. Therefore, we will get rid of it. I would like to say this council's fantastic. It gives us a reason to stream. Well, that's correct. We should hope the Vatican II Council continues forever. Because it's time to go to bed. Good night, everyone. We're closing the show. The sister podcast, the Sailorcast, is probably starting, and we won't be on it because we don't do more than once a dare say shows a month. Bollocks. God bless and good night, everyone.